So how's your mom and your wife feel about you deciding that you're just gonna just live in a van down by the river?
I think at the time it was a shock to everybody in my life, but I I just remember like not really knowing what I wanted to do in college and being really inspired by the hunting public when I first discovered them. Being inspired by them and just like making a decision that like, yeah, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna plan this turkey tour. At that point when I planned it, I didn't even have a van or have anticipations of getting a van. But I was just gonna plan this turkey tour and go and hunt out of state and get out of my comfort zone and do something different and make a video series about it. And it wasn't until like 2 weeks before I was about to leave for this turkey tour that my truck started having engine problems or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, yeah, we gotta fix that and we gotta sell it as quick as we can because this is like a time bomb. And then I was like really trying to think about what I wanted to do for a vehicle, and I was like, you know what? I've always kind of thought vans were cool. Like the van life thing was really surging in popularity at that time, and I was like, that always seemed like something that interests me. So why not? I'm just gonna buy a van. And then so I bought the van, and then since then the whole series is kind of like just revolved around like it's part of the brand, the whole van travel turkey hunting. So
And your champion, number 9, Hunter Wallace.
Yeah, man. So for those of you listening and watching, you might be wondering what we're talking about right now if you haven't seen what Roy is up to. But I'll start with that. I'm sitting here with Roy Holdford, and he started a really cool project. How many years ago now?
this year will be the 6th year. So it started in 2021.
So 2021, he decided he wanted to travel the country and turkey hunt, and so that's what we're gonna talk about here today. We kind of jumped right into it, but let's rewind back to, let's just talk about how you grew up, like where you got into turkey hunting, like how that whole thing went down.
Yeah, so turkey hunting for me growing up was always just like something to do in the spring. It was never something that I was like very passionate about. I don't think I shot my first turkey until like 2019. And then it was just like your classic. It's actually a funny story because I overslept, and it was just like, yeah, my buddy was going to take me out to his ag field. There were a bunch of birds out there. We were just going to set up on this corner, put the decoy up and sit. And I overslept, got there like an hour late. We just like crawled to the edge of the line, popped the decoy up, and they came right in. And that was like how I shot my first turkey. And that one definitely didn't hook me. It was just like, oh, that was cool, that was fun, whatever. And right about that time was when shortly after that was when I discovered the hunting public and started seeing, just introduced to the like hunting public land. I'd never done it before up to that point. And just kind of like, oh, that might be cool. Oh, there's some public land over here that I've never known about my entire life. Maybe I'll go try that. And so I went one afternoon after class when I was in college, and I think I showed up about 2 p.m., walked around for a couple hours, sat down, hit a call, and then a Tom and 2 Jakes come running in. I shot the Tom, and then after that, I was just like completely hooked. Like it was one of the coolest things that I had ever experienced. And I got back to the truck like immediately after that happened and planned the first turkey van tour that I was going to do the following spring. I was like, because I was that ate up with it. So that's kind of how turkey hunting started for me.
And at the time, like you said earlier when we kicked this thing off, you didn't know it was going to be out of a van. You didn't know it was going to be a turkey van tour. Yeah. It was just you started planning a turkey tour, and then the pieces kind of fell together. And dude, it's it really caught me. Like, I started seeing your stuff on social media, and as I've complimented you on before, your production style and the way that you presented things, it caught my attention right away. Doing a lot of stuff in this world on the production end and working with a bunch of different brands and whatnot, even outside of HuntStand. I just like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on out there, and it just was different. There's something about it that was flavored differently, and I dug it. So that's when I started checking out your stuff, and then that's when I ended up hitting you up, and we started talking, and now we're working on some stuff together with HuntStand and Avian X and whatnot. But so let me get this straight. The first bird you killed was just an easy one, and then you went and hunted public land. You had another one walk into your lap. Mm-hmm. When was the first time you got your ass kicked? I mean, it had to have been the next one, right?
The next one, yeah.
There we go.
The next one, I planned the first ever turkey tour. Went to Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. Was in Mississippi for 9 days and didn't hear a single gobble the whole time while I was there. Didn't even get close. Then I went to Alabama and had like 3 or 4 really close calls, but still didn't get it done. And after I think it was day 22 of the first turkey van tour, I finally shot one in Tennessee. And it was like, I mean, about as excited as you could get for I'm as green as it gets at this point. Like, I have shot my first public land turkey the season before. This was my first time hunting turkeys out of state. So I just completely threw myself into the deep end. And I feel like I learned more because of that. Just getting outside of my comfort zone, even though I didn't get one for 22 days or however long it was, the amount of knowledge and the value that brought was the next year I turned around and shot 6. So not that it's a numbers game, but it wasn't for naught. All of those days where you didn't get one are just days that you're learning how to be a better turkey hunter. And I think that was reflected the following season.
So when you, like you said, you were green. So when you planned that first tour, did you realize that you were choosing at least 2 out of those 3 states? Did you realize you were choosing some of the hardest places to kill turkeys?
No, dude, had no idea. I was just
you killed that one, you're riding the high, you're like, oh, I can go do this anywhere.
Yeah. No, I just literally just threw myself into this world of turkey hunting that I knew very little about. And what knew from when I shot my first one on public land, that it was something that that feeling was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, And so I just kind of threw myself into it. College kid, not really, greenhorn, don't know much about anything. So I figured I might as well do it while I can. And that's how it's just kind of snowballed since then.
When you were getting whooped in Mississippi and Alabama, and I guess maybe even in Tennessee for a little while before that, the 22nd or 23rd day or whatever it was, did you have any? Did you have to have any self-talks? Were you questioning whether? Did you ever did that great memory of the one that you had killed on public land where you're like, I need to do this forever? Did that start to fade at all? Or, I mean, because that's brutal, dude.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was green enough to not know how brutal it was, So I definitely had a few self-talks, but it wasn't like I was, if I went 22 days now without getting one, I'd just be like, what is happening? What? This is unusual.
Yeah.
This is insane to, put that amount of, hiking 5, 6 to 10 miles a day looking for a bird and not being able to get on one. It's just, even 3 days of that at this point, it's just such a brain game that it's,
Yeah.
You definitely start to question everything. So I think to answer your question, I think I just didn't know enough to know that was really bad.
So this is total irony, but I've deer hunted, my whole life. Well, since I was 12 years old, basically, as soon as I could in the state of Minnesota, where I'm from and where I grew up deer hunting and whatnot. So once I started, I was all about it. Haven't stopped since, and got into archery. And I was living in an area where there was a archery only piece of public that was like not even 2 minutes from my house. And so naturally, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go all the free time I have, whenever I can go hunt, squeeze in a hunt. I'm gonna go out there and shoot some deer. And it's just total irony, but I'm not kidding you. Same thing happened to me there with deer that happened to you with turkeys. And no joke, I still remember I sat 22 times without seeing a whitetail on that place. I sat every circumstance, every weather condition, time of day, different parts of the season, different parts of the property, on the ground, in trees, you name it. There was deer sign everywhere. I didn't see a whitetail for 22 sits on that public land. And they were there. They were just, at this point, I'm like, they were nocturnal. They just were. Because there was lots of sign. They lived out in primarily in these cattail sloughs. At least that's where they would bed. But I tried hunting that too. I tried everything. And then eventually I was like, okay, this is absurd. And I drove like 20 minutes to a different piece, and I had a buck in bow range on the ground within like 15 minutes of being there. I saw like a 140-inch buck that same evening, saw some does, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's how this is supposed to go. But that 22 number, that's just total coincidence. Like, that's burned in my head. And but like you're saying with turkeys, spending that much time out there, the desperation gets so intense that you're like, okay, I have to key in on anything possible. So you go from just like high level strategy, like, okay, this is the obvious thing to do, so I'm going to try this. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to get a little bit more creative, and I'm going to try this. And then by the end of it, it's like you're looking for, in your case, by the end of it, you're so desperate, you're like looking for rubs on trees from a turkey that don't exist or something. Yeah. Like you're forced to pay attention to every single little detail, because you're like, what am I missing in this frickin' puzzle? So It is a masterclass just being tortured like that.
Definitely. Mississippi, the entire time it was like that. Alabama, I at least find some birds, like heard gobbles, like would find birds out in fields, like felt like I was in the game. And then Tennessee finally just found a mountain that had a fresh burn on it, and there were birds all over the place. And I actually missed one on day 21, so that just took me into the pit of despair even deeper. And then the next morning, woke up and finally got one. So,
when did you? So you planned the tour, but at what point did you decide that you wanted to start filming it and documenting it?
From the jump.
Really?
That point, I had been making duck hunting videos with my buddies. Like, we'd just go hunt a little wood duck pond or slough or whatever, and I was making those videos, and I wanted to transition into making like turkey and deer hunting videos as well. And that just like timed up perfectly with this turkey trip that I wanted to take. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna commit to filming this series. And
so how was that? I'm sure I've watched them at some point, but
they're rough, dude. I hate going back and watching those videos. Those early ones are tough.
Dude, it's anytime you take that leap to put yourself in front of a camera, I go back and look at some of my old stuff. It's doesn't even have to be that old, and it's just like cringe.
Yeah.
Just straight cringe.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while I'll find some artifact of something I did like 15 years ago, and I'm just like, how do I get this off the internet? It's just embarrassing.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I mean, so there's probably some of that when you started filming, but on top of that, not only were you filming and you probably were like, looking back, you probably felt like it looks awkward maybe on camera, but on top of that, you're getting your ass kicked. And you're like trying to release this turkey content, and it's like, well, how much more do people want to watch me walk around and sit against a tree?
I mean, at that point, I was just doing it for me, you know, because I think my subscriber count was like 100. So it's not like I was thinking about, you know, making content for the audience. Not the way that I do now. Like, I mean, you go 10 days without posting, or you post three no-kill videos in a row, and you start stressing a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was never in my head back then. Back then, I was just doing it because it was new and, you know, getting outside of my comfort zone, traveling, like doing something that I had never done before. Like all of that was exciting to me at the time. So it felt like the content when I was filming, it felt like it was exciting to me. So I was still able to capture it. And
That's probably why this thing has taken off, man. Like, it seems like all the best stuff, whether it be content or whether it be like ideas for cool products or businesses or anything like that, all the best ones are always just passion. Like start out a passion without really any kind of deeper motive other than it just feels right. So that's cool that was that way. That makes sense.
Yeah, I've always tried to just, you know, since then, like put a major focus on just like quality within the video, like trying to make this, whatever I'm working on, like this video, whether it be a reel or the Turkey Van Tour YouTube videos, like whatever it is, like put 100% of my effort into that. Cause like, I mean, even if it's not viral, even if people aren't like, even if it's not heavily viewed, like if I'm happy with it, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. And like the right people are going to watch this video and relate to you in that way. And I think that's how you build an organic following, like rather than just, you know, the virality is here one day, gone the next. And I think if, you know, grassroots, like organic following is built through just like creating something that you can look back on and that you love and are proud of, you know?
And we'll get to it, but being intimately familiar with outdoor life, and I mean it's a timeless media property, outdoor media property, and for a lot of good reasons. But that authenticity is, I mean, I don't know if it's like in their core like mission statement or anything. And now that you're part of that team, I'm sure you kind of know. But like, if it isn't, it is intrinsically like that's why it has always been what it is, just because of the quality and the authenticity, no bullshit. And in that case, like actual real journalism, which is pretty much non-existent in this space at this point, other than outdoor life. But yeah, so like before we get to that, which is kind of where you're at now, you were way into the hunting public. You started doing this stuff. When did you actually connect with those dudes directly and do some collaborations and whatnot?
It was during that first turkey tour. I just by chance, you know, am in Alabama hunting, go to this campsite and pull into the first spot, and Zach and Ted are out there just like right next to the spot that I was going to. And I rolled my window down. I was like, "Hey, I know you guys." And they're just, you know, they hear that a million times throughout the spring. So they're just like, you know, a little bit of hesitancy always when somebody recognizes you out there. But then like we started talking and like we really got along and like got to hang out with them for the next 3 days at camp and share stories and stuff like that. And then like exchanged numbers with all of them. And then they left to go wherever they went next. And Ted texted me and gave me Warb's number, told me to reach out, and like asked about being an intern for their following fall deer tour. And so that's how that connection was made, was taking this chance, like inspired by the hunting public to go and do this in the first place, and then just magically run into them and like get the internship like that way. Like I had applied the year before and didn't get it, and I was like, well, I want to do this anyway, so I'm just going to do it by myself. And then run into them just by sheer chance. So
Chance, or the older I get, the more I truly believe that, I mean, there's a plan. Everything happens for a reason. And there's a reason you ran into those guys out there. That you could have been at any campsite or trailhead in the country and been liable to run into them, but you were at that one at that time. So I'd say it's some level of serendipity at the minimum.
Yeah.
So what did you end up, how did that path end up going? You ended up doing some stuff with them. Are you still working with them at all, or what's the deal?
So I was their 2021 fall intern. They get new interns every year, but since then I've just like had a great relationship with the guys. Like I always go and do Ohio Muzz with Zach and everybody. I always try to get up with them to turkey hunt during the spring. Like Zach's probably one of my good friends, like one of my best friends probably. Like any chance I get to hang out, to meet up with them and hunt, like I try to. When I was a freelance contractor, there were a few times where they needed an extra hand, and so I contracted for them. But just I guess a part of the brand by association, being an intern, but I don't like officially work for them or anything.
It's spring, and when we're not in the studio, you'd better believe there's only one thing on our minds: chasing longbeards. That's why we're a proud partner of the National Wild Turkey Federation and fully support its mission, the conservation of the wild turkey and the preservation of our hunting heritage. The HuntStand podcast is also proud to partner with Savage. They offer our favorite tools for taking turkeys with the Renegade Semi-Auto and the 301 Single Shot. We're also excited to be running the new Ridge Runner series of turkey vests from our partners at Avian X. The Ridge Runner and Ridge Runner X are built for long days of running and gunning or sitting and waiting for stubborn gobblers. And remember, as a HuntStand Pro or Ultimate member, you can save major cash on some of the best turkey gear in the new HuntStand gear store. So check it out at HuntStand.com.
So where are we at now with the Turkey Van Tour? We're sitting here, February, NWTF convention. I'd say this is, I mean, a lot of us, I start thinking about turkey hunting earlier and earlier every year. Used to be kind of like after Christmas, and now it's like it keeps creeping back, and maybe even sitting at Thanksgiving now starting to think about spring turkey hunting. But I would say for a lot of people, and approximately for this show, they may be 100,000 potentially. This is kind of the wick. This is where the wick gets really lit here in February, and then seasons start kicking off in March, and April's full bore, and then if you're diehard, we're rolling till at least June 1st, or maybe a few days later, depending on the year and what states have later seasons. But what do you got cooking for this year? What's the roadmap look like?
Yeah, well, the past month I've just been a hermit in my office editing all the videos from last year. Like this is the first time I've gotten out of the house in like a month. So
the editing hobbit, man.
Yeah, the editing has been crazy. Trying to finish everything up and get everything ready for 3-month-long trip. So I'm definitely going to Florida, Mississippi, and Texas. Past that, like once April 15th comes in and like a lot of states open their seasons, like I don't have a set plan.
Seat of the pants.
Yep.
That's cool.
Pretty much wherever I can meet up with buddies and hunt. It's something that I want to focus on this year because I always spend a lot of time solo, and it's fun. Like I love hunting solo, but it's way more fun to hunt with friends. So
it is, man. I'm the same way. I do a lot of solo hunting, but more and more it's like, I was talking to Rob Keck about this earlier, but I'm to the point now where I actually feel bad when I shoot a turkey. I'm still going to keep doing it, still love doing it. I don't have a choice. It's just what I have to do. But I don't want to, remorse isn't necessarily the right word, but the way I explained it to him, the moment before I pull the trigger is like the peak of just excitement and everything that goes into it. Like that's the pinnacle. And then somewhere about halfway between when that trigger is depressed and when it goes off is when it just tanks off a cliff for me now, because it's just like, it's over, you know. That, and also I think about, I'm so heady about it now that I'm just like, man, that gobbler ain't going to be out here lighting up these woods anymore. So I got a little bit more spiritual about it over the years. But part of that, what I'm getting at in a long-winded way, is it's so much better to share it with somebody. Like, everything about it is better. Like, reverence for the bird and just like all of it. It's like you shoot a bird by yourself and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, what's the first thing you do? You call whoever you're
exactly.
Gonna call.
Yeah, and then you're just like wishing they were there. So I still love solo hunting. I agree with you on that, but man, it is it's even like, I don't just want like a friend there. I've even started rolling deeper now when a setup will accommodate it. It's like last year, I think in Florida, one of our setups, we had like 8 people.
Yeah, that's
Minnesota, we had like 5 of us.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, I want all my people here, and I want to, when they're doing their thing, I want everybody to be there so we can like be a part of the spectacle this freaking wild turkey gives us.
Yeah, I think it's great. I also think, like, from a strategy standpoint, like, just having anybody with you to like drop back and call. I mean, how many times they get hung up at 70 yards? Like, you get somebody to call behind you, it just is way more efficient.
Yeah, there's that strategy and practical side too. I get so hung up in the romance of it, but you're right. Like, yeah, having an extra person there, even just to sit 20 yards behind you and scratch leaves, or even just a second set of ears, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Facing different directions. Like, there's so many different benefits to that.
Yeah.
So you said, you're like, oh, the way you said it was kind of like, well, obviously I'm going to Florida. Is that because you love Florida and you love Osceolas that much, or is it just simply because it's like the earliest season, or both?
If you asked me last year, probably because of it's the earliest season. If you ask me this year, like, it's because Florida's awesome. Like, I went down there last year to South Florida for the first time, and I really only did it because it was my only opportunity to hunt in March, because me and my wife went to Scotland late March. And I loved it way more than I thought I would. And we hiked 75 miles in 6 days before we heard a gobble. So it was like, it was tough. It was difficult, but it was so beautiful. It was like one of the coolest places that I've ever seen a turkey strut through. Like, just like the amount of wildlife, not just turkeys, like the amount of wildlife down there, like birds, gators, you know, they got cats down there. Like, it's just really cool and a lot more vast than I think I anticipated. And I love it down there. So non-residents can't really hunt anywhere in Florida unless you hunt private starting this year. So my plan's to go down and film a resident just so I can get to experience it. And then I do have somebody that I might be getting permission to hunt on their private too. So I'm going to try that, try Mississippi as well. And I really want to try to find a way to make it out to the Oregon, Washington, Idaho little corner of the country there. But that's a long drive and a lot of miles to put on the van. So I'm trying to figure out something that's economical. So.
Yeah. If you're committed to the van, that is
that's
it's
a holdup.
Such a haul, dude.
I made it as far west as Utah last year, which was really fun as well. But it is like you got to find a way to stage it out. Like, it doesn't make sense to just burn a whole day trying to get there. Like, you got to go like, okay, I'm going to stop in Missouri, and then I'm going to go here, and then slowly work your way out there to make it, like, you know, make sense financially.
For sure. Yeah, and even strategically too, but the hard part about that is like you're more free form, like you said. Like you kind of just like wherever I end up is wherever I end up. But I found that the hard part is of putting together those circuits is if you don't kill in a spot, it's like, do I stay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably going to be able to finish this story, or do I move on to the next spot? If you have any kind of limited time frame to work with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of decisions when you're trying to cover ground like that.
Yep. Yep. It's definitely like if I plan as if things are going to go as well as they possibly can. Like you get one kid, like you only spend 2 days in every state because you're just on them. That's what I plan for, but I'm always expecting to like spend longer at each place. So I think you got to plan for the best case scenario so you can like keep it efficient and keep it rolling when it's going well. But
that's a really good approach, actually. Yeah. It's kind of the opposite of how I have thought about it, because as much as it pains me to admit it,
He's a pessimist.
I'm kind of a pessimist, man. If my friends are listening, they're like, kind of. So yeah, I'm a pessimist, and I hate that about myself. But I'm not just saying this because we're sitting here on this podcast, but that's a really smart way to look at it, because it's still practical enough to feed into my pessimism, but it's also, like you said, that's an efficient way to consider it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, if you have it all planned out, then you don't have to spend the 3 hours researching about the next state and like what are your license requirements and where can I go. Like,
yeah,
if you just already got it planned out, then you can just, okay, I killed here quicker than I thought I would. Let's just go to the next spot.
So have you cracked that nut on Mississippi yet?
Mm-mm.
No, so it's still a nemesis.
I haven't been back since the first year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't been able to draw the public land tag. So, and I can go back April 1st, but it just hadn't worked out with how I've had my spring scheduled up to this point. So this will be my first time going back since it kicked my butt. So,
dude, I've only had a couple nemesis states, and that's one of them. I was down there with a couple of good buddies who they don't live in Mississippi, but they're familiar with the area. They live down in that neck of the woods, Georgia, Alabama. One of them is actually originally from Mississippi, but doesn't live there anymore. Anyhow, we went over there, and I thought it was going to be like, these guys got it figured out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we got our asses kicked. I mean, and I've heard so many stories about like those deep south birds and whatnot. And I always take everything with a grain of salt. And I thought maybe people were playing it up a bit, but no, it's all the rumors are true. Like, those turkeys have been hunted harder and longer by people with more experience than arguably anywhere else, because their turkey hunting heritage runs so deep. And like, I say this all the time, but like me being from Minnesota, like we didn't even have my grandpa wasn't a hunter, but if he was, we didn't even have turkeys. Whereas somebody down south, they might have a great grandpa who turkey hunted. Mm-hmm. So like that, it's in their blood, and therefore it's also evolved into those turkeys. And
yeah, it's just generations of pressure
generations of pressure.
Every generation is taking on the hunting pressure, and the turkeys are just like born with this, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just born with the skepticism about everything.
They're they have like a quota on the number of gobbles they can use in a lifetime, and they're very conservative about how they use them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely a different world down there. So I need to get back down there at some point too. I've kind of my strategy has shifted back and forth on tackling different states, because I mean it is a personal life goal to do the 49, and so I've been chipping away, and like 3 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm only going to do new states now. And then I did it for a year, and I was like, nah, this ain't going to work because I'm missing out on camps with friends and like all these other opportunities and places I like to go back to. So I was like, okay, it might take me 15, 20 years instead of 10 or 15. But if I die tomorrow, I'm going to regret missing out on all these opportunities just because I'm going after this more selfish personal goal, you know? But there are a few states that have vexed me. Mississippi was one. New York was one, actually.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculous because like I had to go back to New York 3 times. And the first 2 times I literally had both times. I missed once, and the other time I had a bird in my red dot. And as I shit you not, as I was squeezing the trigger, I was shooting a Mossberg at the time, so it had some play, some travel in that trigger. And I'm not kidding you. I worked this dude all morning. He finally stuck his head up. I repositioned on him multiple times. He finally stuck his head up and periscoped me over a log. And I was halfway through my trigger squeeze, and he ducked. And I had enough trigger control that I was actually able to stop. Like, you know, a lot of times people are just like, just boom, they press right through. But I was squeezing on him because I'm so used to rifle hunting. And he ducked, and I was halfway through my squeeze, and I was like shocked that my gun didn't go off to the point where I literally like I put my safety back on, and I like pressed the trigger back forward because I was like, why didn't this go off? Like I must have been right before it was going to break.
Yeah.
And then I ended up the third time I went out there, ended up hunting the Catskills. Never saw a turkey in 3 days. And then went to my buddy's farm and killed one in the pouring rain. It was one of the ugliest turkeys I've ever killed. Just looked like a mop.
Nice.
But there was that was a state where I had no good excuse. Like I was around birds, I was hunting good properties and whatnot.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get you.
Yeah, dude.
They get you.
Sometimes that happens. That's been New Hampshire for me, which is crazy because there's turkeys everywhere.
That is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. I hunted New Hampshire.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I missed 2. And then last year I went and just drove around looking for birds forever and just like never found one.
Brutal.
Yeah, last year seemed to be it was like the last 2 days of the season last year.
Okay.
But last year seemed to just be a tough year from everybody that I talked to in the Northeast. It was just a weird one. Like a lot of rain, not a lot of birds, a lot of jakes. I saw hundreds of jakes, so I'm hoping Northeast will probably be pretty decent this year. But
those jakes are such a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's worse. Like, I don't know if I'd rather hunt in heavy wind or constantly be bombarded by jakes. Like, they're pick your poison.
Yeah.
Like, they're both bad.
yeah,
Yeah, they can be. You see these gangs of jakes, and they're running off your gobblers, and they won't leave you alone, and you're cursing them, but at the same time, you're already thinking about the next year when they're going to be just those glorious 2-year-olds.
2-year-olds. Yep. That's it. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me in New Hampshire this past year. I was with it set up within 70 yards of a tom, and then 6 jakes come running across the field and run them all over the place. I'm like, well, come back next year.
Those jakes are something. I was on a turkey hunt with my brother many years ago when he was still a kid, and he killed his bird the first morning that we hunted together, and we were both kind of bummed because, I mean, he was excited to get his turkey, but we wanted to still be out there. So we went out and just set up a blind the next morning to watch turkeys and photograph and film and stuff. And just a quick Jake story. We had this longbeard that we were working. I mean, we were just out there with just filming, and we put decoys out. We just wanted him to come in and give us the show. And there was this gang of like 4 Jakes. This was in central Wisconsin. And we were hunting along this beautiful river. It's actually called the Black River.
Okay.
Whenever I see your email address, your old email address, I always think about that. But
Yep.
Long story short, these Jakes, every time that gobbler would try coming in, those jakes would run them off and run them off and run them off. And finally, we watched all this play out, and he would leave and come back and leave and come back. And then finally he realized, okay, I need to sneak in. I need to stop gobbling my way in. So we watched him. He stood off way in the distance, and he was like looking around to make sure that those jakes were gone. And finally they got far enough away, and he started just slowly sneaking in from probably like 200 yards through this timber. And he was creeping, and he was like, you know how they'll creep and then they'll like stop and look around, like, because they know they might get their ass kicked. So he kept doing that, and then finally he got enough confidence. He was about halfway to us, and he just started running in. He's like, all right, I'm home free. And I'm not kidding you. He ran about 20 yards, full bore, and he tripped over a stick and actually fell and rolled over. It was the goofiest thing I've ever seen. It was comedy. I wish I would have had it on film. But he's finally had the confidence. He's like, all right, I'm a badass. I'm going to run into these decoys now. And he trips over this stick and literally basically does like a side barrel roll type thing. And he stood up and he looked around like he was embarrassed. He's like, did anybody see, did that hen see that?
Yeah.
And then he shook it off and got all confident again and came in. But
yeah, that's a new one.
It was hilarious,
That's wild.
dude. So you got anything else you want to share? Where can people find Turkey Van Tour, Outdoor Life?
Yeah.
Give us the skinny on that.
So I've got probably 10 episodes from the 2025 spring season that are going to post starting February 15th. You can find that at Turkey Van Tour on YouTube, Turkey Van Tour on Instagram, or Curl Hunts on Instagram. This 2026 Turkey Van Tour will be on Outdoor Life's channel, and I'll be posting those live, so I'll be turning those videos around during the springtime. So
sweet.
Yep. So it'll be a lot of Turkey Van Tour content this spring.
Good deal, man.
Yep.
Well, if you haven't checked it out already, those of you listening and or watching, you got to check out the Turkey Van Tour. Roy's doing some cool stuff. The semi-live stuff is going to be really fun to watch as well. And I hope you don't ever go on another 22-day dry spell. But just praise the turkey gods, and maybe it won't happen. So
Yeah.
this is the HuntStand podcast. We're going to be coming at you with some more episodes here from the National Wild Turkey Federation Convention and Sports Show here in Nashville. A lot of great guests lined up yet. So stay tuned. Drop us a rating. Leave us a review. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and YouTube. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.